Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Here, Robert. Turner, Lawrence. Here.
We will move on to public comments and the public was travel night, so just a reminder that public comment is a time for residents, property owners in the world, representatives of their local institutions to take 2 minutes to speak about anything that is on the agenda or not, to be respectful when you're coming to the lecture and speak only to Borough.
What will sure go go? What are the gentlemen, next month. The other guy says, you're having problems, you have the only caller. You had a call about the panic, the shooting, Valerie, and the fan, whatever, you have your own problem. So you all got Tuesday, I get a call, you gotta leave. So, the logical about it. Oh, my God. Come on. Then before I had a pick up on everything. Everything. Everyone. None of them was low down on so say, probably say you might be using 5 gallons a week. It's not a lot. So, I thought they would double that. Now we're making 500 gallons of water. Just there's nothing wrong with it. That's $50. And that's the gallon. And that's $50. And it's over 500 gallons of drips and dry. And nobody should be able to say, well, we better check the meters, we better check our equipment, we better check the thing. I got to look at 500. Over the years, I've heard this many times. And I don't trust anybody. That's not an excuse to go to council or for the water sewer department and say, you got to make you figure it out. Compare it. That's exactly what I got. And I can come in my meeting and say, something wrong. I had a phone come to my house. And all I was 2 other weeks. There's nothing major wrong in my house. The other thing I like to talk about is asking me, talking about it. Can't do it. I don't know what that is going to do, 2 blocks a year. 20 years ago, that was 4 blocks, we had done it. 2 blocks. We're doing that. What I suggest now is, we have to do a moratorium on all the little streets. Except for single family homes, or, that's all real estate on the 50 years. Every community on that is this. I was told behind 17 parts of that on State Street, they would pay an extra $1 million. You can have all the food you want. You don't have the pipes that are old. You don't have that. You say, look, you can't do all of it. You want to see it. You want to find it. So you do a moratorium and say, look, you'd be surprised how many millions of dollars for building. You bought ground, let the money come, especially get it back to say, hey, we sewer main. We do that to the economy. Only have to come down the sewer, you don't have to fight. And that's something you can do very quickly, very easily. You go to single house, stop the work. Development, you got to have to do that. And start an infrastructure plan. You get from a builder or developer, you got it. I mean, God has put money. Anything like this, anything that I know, oh, they should be done. Or you just say, yeah, we'll do this, we won't get a budget. And I'll just see how long they do the time. And leave it up to them. Right? Anytime this regard, all these guys are more cool. You just don't have, we don't have the sewer pipe. We have the sewer, and we will apply to go double it. But if you double all the way, you don't pipe. You have the sewer. Thank you.
Aye. My name is Lauren Jackson. I live at 318 Stone Street. So we just want to start off by saying, we're a small town of 660 acres, 1 square mile. At the rate the borough council is going, and let me pause and stress borough, meaning town, making deals and ignoring the ordinances that have been in place for years. Our small town is very overpopulated. Make no mistake about it. In our 1 square mile, with that said, respectively, the ask is to reinstate and follow to the letter the originally established ordinance. When you witness what has happened in my neighborhood, as a parent, you have to make noise and show up to be heard. To me, it is blatantly evident that business is being conducted on a personal perspective that does not include anything for the welfare of the citizens or our town. Furthermore, it is our demographic that establishes the eligibility for specific funds to repair, erect, and construct our infrastructure, which in some cases are being diverted. I'm guessing as a community and concerned citizens, we have the right to ask the state to come take a look. Furthermore, hold on, I lost my place. Okay, so I want to talk about Law Valley has been requested to be looked at for a number of years. Again, by citizens here in town, the churches, and it's still being ignored. So how long do we have to wait before something is done? That's it. The other thing. Meetings with the Borough Council need to go back, I believe, to the first and third Mondays of the month, as it gives the community a chance to discuss the new plan. It seems council is rushing to get items passed, makes a person wonder what is really going on as far as hidden agendas, motivations, etc. For those reasons, the ask is for the first and third Mondays as we used to do.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
If no one else has anything to say, like, we break eyes, and Charlotte Watson, 523, that number. Go to Division Street residents. I wonder why today it was said that you had to be a resident and taxpayer to speak. Because it has been the new ordinance that you put in, Mr. Gordon, that anybody, non-residents can speak. Today, when this crowd comes, you say only residents and taxpayers. I take offense to that. We've all sat here and heard you. We've heard the non-residents speak. You had me held to 3 minutes almost when I'm done. While they can sit up here and speak an hour and a half. No, I'm telling you where you violated. No, we don't have to stop. This is my citizen
We're gonna be
comment.
respectful.
This is respectful. This is my citizen
And
comment.
we're gonna be fact.
This is what, that is fact. You said non-residents could speak here. And now they can't. Tonight, when a minority crowd comes in.
I missed.
And believe
I
me,
missed it.
believe it for the rest of the council, because he's not your boss. I have contacted more than the minority population. I have been to doors knocking on them. God gave me the strength this time. And you know what they have to say? The same things I've been saying, and they haven't been. Something's wrong in Cannon Square. They don't know, they wonder why we bought this building. They don't like the idea of the ADUs, and I'm fully educated on that. And I come today to ask you to relook at the housing issue. Want to know who's on the housing board. I want to be on the housing board. I was on it years ago. I want to know for new dwellings, conversions, and I want to know for your ADUs. Because what we have been through on Linden Street, when they asked to go to they went to the zone. And from what we saw, what was presented, and what's in your ordinance, and what's in the national ordinance, you got a long way to go. We need more teeth in our housing situation. So don't tell me what I'm saying facts, because I'm saying facts all the way to hold up in any court. And I'm ready for court. I advise the Linden Street residents that that's where they're at. When we have people trying to put things forth on us and tell us it's okay. We heard about 2 projects and one by word of mouth, so council knows. We heard about the Carter residents because I think there was an announcement. We did not hear about the Walls property. I heard about that in your channel. When they said 14 parking spaces, and I had to call Mr. Borough and say, you made a mistake. Somebody better go around and look at this property. We know that property inside it. We know the properties from the top of the street at the Dennison zone to the bottom where the Dennison zone. That's a historical family on our street that you don't know. Don't get mad because we know and you don't. Because you believe it's too long in the dark. And what you've been doing is benefiting from everything you see in the dark because we don't have your dollars. It's not fair. Bottom line is you got to start paying attention to the citizens because you're doing your own wishes. It's personal desire to leave this borough. And I prayed the 4 people that came on here would have new blood, but I've learned otherwise. And don't go for a meeting going outside of the tax because I don't care if it's your husband, I don't care if it's your fools. I'm coming back. Don't tell me how to feel. And your borough manager. Don't come here trying to sabotage meetings and make false accusations, because I never have somebody on the darn to be sued. You're gonna say I've been in the school board meeting, and I've been at borough council meeting on every month. Couldn't be there. I was personally attacked there. So don't tell me how to feel. Don't send your representatives. Don't talk about me in your offices. Don't talk about me in your offices. Don't talk about me in your offices. Because it gets back to me. I have it up to here. ADUs. You got it by right. We don't want it by right. Our housing demands have always been through planning, land, and zoning. We need that back. Because people are doing things behind the curtains, and we don't want anything about it. Buying this building, we didn't know nothing about it. Giving our sewer away to new penitentiary, we didn't know nothing about it. Many of the council members, because I've been calling them, I know what they should have been on you. Because they're on watch stories. They're supposed to watch what happens. ADUs are supposed to be owner occupied. Don't try to bring the LLCs, LTDs, whatever word you want to use, you get an owner occupied. A personal person has to live in that house that's capable of overseeing not the residents and the additional dwellings. Additional dwellings are supposed to be within the footprint of the main house, the original home. Built no more than 50% of their square foot area. You're not supposed to be able to see them from the front. When you allow them to build, you also have to make them sign affidavits. Put in a deed, the usage that will only be used during that period in which you approved it for under that permit and could not follow in future purchases. So I think we need some teeth in these things. We need to not be putting garages into carriage houses just because we got a garage, just to stay at 15 foot height. So we can't have ADUs 30 feet. Somebody needs to look at that. There's been a lot of mess, what do you say, when they tax away the money for that, there's been too much that here. So don't tell me where I can't talk. These people can talk whether the residents or not, because that was your rule. When everybody white came up here, that was your rule. When I had to stand here, you had to go to me, yeah, I'm past 3 minutes, but you had to go to me for 3 minutes. At one point, they had people even helping up here, one of them counts. So every time they went to talk, I was like that. So that's why I have my aggression. And you didn't read what you usually do. I don't know why you didn't read that tonight. Be careful in your words, tones, and gestures. So I'm going to say, be careful how you handle public money, how you treat citizens that deserve to have functions and purposes done. Get a little money off of Birch Street, because we're tired of every best money you've done has been Birch Street. Even since new people have been in, they're going to be hurt sometimes in Birch Street. And I said Birch Street again. Birch Street again, these 8 years. We're going to get with the program. Don't think you're going to keep telling us you want to keep them studying what you've been doing. So the next time you send somebody to a public meeting in the library where I have to hold my composure, I was ready for him tonight. I want to see your husband tonight. I want to see him. Because that man don't know me. And when people don't know you, and they come across aggressive, because we had a very good meeting with the community that everybody talked and everybody got their things to say. We organized. The next meeting we had some Washington people there. They tried to read what insurrection. What we call was a prejudice act. They don't know me. And we didn't get to talk and we disturbed our agenda. Then try to take it over themselves and don't come by us again. Don't come by us again. I was in the library, so were the rest of the people, so we acted accordingly. I couldn't act this way. You got a strong foot today. I'm telling you what you need to know, and it's strong. You haven't seen me now yet. You might think you have, but you haven't seen me yet. There, you couldn't take it. I'm telling you point blank, you run too long, Mr. Fat. Do you have anything to say to me now? Well, I have an audience, and more people on the phone I call today. Because we're going to make you change your ways. And we want that commercial area down back by that new apartment building. We want to keep them overlays off it. This is the town that needs services. We don't need a whole bunch of more houses built, but we don't have the streets, we don't have the infrastructure, that's your thing, or I call it a 13-letter profane word. We don't have the infrastructure for it. And you can tell the people all the meetings and things you have, and be at, yes, okay, it's 3 minutes, but you need here today. Don't ever come and get nasty and get another face after all my proposal. But if you're ready to get nasty tonight, I'm ready for it.
Thank you.
Another thing that on the about the.
Ms. Jackson, can you step a little closer? Would that be okay to the council? Thank you.
I just wanted to say about the zoning board, because you all have to say about the zoning board, is that correct? You don't have to say about the zoning board, who's appointed, about meetings, or nothing, that's what I'm understanding, nothing, you have nothing to do with zoning. But I can make a statement.
No, the council, let me just clarify, the council appoints the member of the zoning hearing, that's the responsibility.
Okay, that's good.
Separate independent body makes some decisions,
Okay,
appointed by the council.
okay,
All right.
that's fine.
But you're supposed to get the news from the zoning board when things take place, even though they don't know, they can influence, they can't influence.
Okay, so what I want to say, about the zoning board. That the property at 217 East Main Street. East Main Street, property 217. Now, when was the resident of the historic extended street notified about, what you want to do there? As far as elevating, adding more floors and more apartment citizens. Okay? The other thing, when was the notices given out to the whole street of Women Street to let us know that there was, it was even being considered? The other thing is, John Thomas here is an alternate for the zoning board. When I went to the zoning board, about the property at 315 East Main Street, there were 2 females and a male. Now, my understanding is the 2 females are zoning board, but the guy, the male, is either the lawyer or solicitor. Does he have voting rights on the board? John Thomas, he's an alternate. He should have automatically been put in that place. There's supposed to be 3 people on the zoning board. Is that correct? There's supposed to be 3 people on the zoning board? Nobody knows?
No, it's just public comment, they won't really have time for that.
Okay, well, I'm just
So we
saying.
can take all the questions.
That's fine. John, he said he was automatically being put in that spot. Okay? Now, what's next? That might be, that might be, but again, I think the meeting to be first and third, Monday, other month, like it used to be, will give citizens, the community, a time to hear what's going on. I will get on the website. You know, we used to do things in the mail, or newsletters, what's in the mail, to make us aware of what's going on, or what might even be discussed at a council meeting. Which would be nice, I can put on the refrigerator to be a reminder. I don't get on the internet every day. Or weekly or whatever, I got 600 and some emails in my box next, I don't get it. So that would be appreciated. I think because what happens is, you have a meeting like this, discuss your business or whatever, and then Wednesday you want to vote on whatever you want to discuss tonight. Which doesn't give residents, community members, or anybody any time to digest what's going on. I mean, I think it's only fair. It just makes you wonder, if there's what is really going on with town.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Matilda Hall. I live at 619 South Front Street, across the street. And want to know why 11 people borough employees left. That's a large turnover and it's skeptical of what's going on. Your ordinance, now that the borough is taking over, you had mowers out there at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're not supposed to be there till 9. 9 to 9 is the ordinance. Okay, so they're out there at 6 o'clock in the morning. We had no speed zone out there, so you had cars going faster than they should, starting from First Street all the way to the end where the school is. I mean, I sat there on my porch, I love it, and I watched this one car. It was like, by the time it got to my house, which I'm right there in the middle, it was more than 40, 50 miles. And, you know, we hear our speed, and then it's back up. We bump something. It's just out of control. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
My name is Derek Florence, I'm from 221 East Linden Street. And my question is, the current borough codes that we have, I was told that you're now using the international version or whatever. My question is, why are you using such an international version when you have the codes that are already there established in front of you? That to me seems a little suspect, because why would one use something that is totally off of the tracks if you already have these codes? Is it your intention to change certain codes as we go along? What is your agenda? What is your, what do you want to do by using the international codes, as you say? What are you doing? What are you saying about the ones that we have already established and have been established? I still have the borough code book. Are you saying that that borough code book is no longer effective or in effect?
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Let me ask another question. When
You've had your time with Jack, but I'm sorry. I'm being super consistent. I'm being super,
Okay,
that we will provide answers,
Okay.
absolutely.
good.
Thank you. Yes, sir, in the back.
My name is Mr. Bryson, I'm 205 South Borough Street. My concern is all the building that is going on in the borough. And all the building that's going on outside the borough. Where are they dumping all their sewage? Can sewer plant? They don't have their own plants. And also, people in the borough, the parking for all these people that are coming into the borough. They're building those new apartment buildings down there on the end of State Street down there. Where are all those people going to park? The traffic is terrible coming through town. I live on Willow Street. And coming down Willow Street, the traffic, like we were talking about the speed limit going down there, is crazy. Also, kids, where are they going to put all these kids from all these developments that are going to school? They're going to have to expand the schools that increase taxes again for new school buildings. So I think we ought to pump the brakes on all the people coming into the borough. I've been a borough resident all my life, and I've never seen such expansion going on. To me, it's getting out of control. So just please take that into consideration. You've got too many people in too small a space. We'll have to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Robin Bellworth, and I live at 792 Wayne Avenue, Kent. And some mornings when I turn my water faucet on, I have a terrible odor. I don't know if anyone else has like noticed that or not. I don't know what it smells like. It smells really bad. But then as the day goes on, it smells better. I'm just curious as to why does it smell like that, and has anyone else smelled any of that? That's been going on for about maybe a year or a half a year. Has anyone noticed that? And then I wonder,
Yeah.
huh? then the other thing I had was about the speed limit. What's going on, what did they change the speed limit? Cars going fast with the noise that cars are making. It's so loud. That hasn't stopped yet, 702 Wayne Avenue. Could be all around, but I know it's 702 Wayne Avenue. The cars are turning on fast on that road. And what else? Oh, and a couple times my water bill was late coming to me. I always pay my water bill on time, but for some reason it's kind of late coming. Almost need to have a late, but that doesn't happen. So I don't know what's going on with the water bill. I guess it goes to Baltimore, and it goes to Baltimore. It goes to Baltimore. That's what my water bill goes to Baltimore. When it goes to Baltimore, I pay the tenant. It goes to Baltimore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, public comment.
President, I was public comment, but I would ask us, as manager and staff, please have answers to all the questions. I think some of these questions are very legitimate. Some of them are very strong accusations that I think we need to answer fully and appropriately on Wednesday. And I don't, it's your meeting, but I think a little discourse back and forward to answer some of the accusations. I think the tempers need to go on. I think that's inappropriate. We can have our opinions, but we shouldn't be called our names or for being unprofessional in my opinion. But answers some of the big questions.
Thank you.
And I know that the manager is right. The manager is writing them all down, and he's going to address as many as he can in his report, and if not, we will get more answers on Wednesday. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Rose, I'm at 306 East Street. I just wanted to point out with the park, Nixon Park. Lately it's been, not being taken care of. I know we have a dog in Wolfham and the mowing and things like that, like literally it's like a mess. The dog park and things like that, so I don't know if the taxes that we pay that, why it's not being handled correctly. There's a lot of people that are walking there, so just let me just.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you.
Hi, my name is Susan Mullen. I've lived here all my life, 60 years, in town, uptown, downtown. I'm on Safer Street now. I agree with the water smell.
Maybe I have your address, please.
114 West Cypress Street. The water smells terrible some mornings. It's a musty smell. Lately, I haven't smelled it, but I always let the water run a little bit, obviously, you know, to see what happens. We usually buy bottled water because of the children and babies. And hopefully that's safer, I don't know. My one concern has always been housing for low income. It's a problem in the whole country. But instead of building all these luxury loft apartments over top of businesses, there's like one or two places that are supposed to be low income. There's not enough, obviously. I was told there's a 4 or 5 year waiting list. I mean, it's ridiculous. Are people told that when they went, you know, the luxury loft apartments? Oh, you gotta wait. Like everyone here is addressing water, sewer, students, traffic, taxes. My one concern also is on our street is the traffic. There's a lot of 18-wheelers, obviously school buses, box trucks, regular, and they go way too fast. I mean, their speed limit should be what, like 25 or 15 even? It's still a residential area. It's not a commercial area. And I'm just waiting, you know, someone will get killed and then I guess that'll be an issue. And I just hope to God it's not some of the kids getting off on the buses and on the corner there at Union and Cypress also. You know, people need to know what's going on. You know, I don't think anyone cares about the poor people. I grew up here. There's hardly anyone left that I went to school with. They've all moved away. Senior citizens can't afford to live here. Taxes, they've gone elsewhere. You know, I know it's not gonna get fixed overnight, but it needs to be seriously addressed and not just brushed off. Oh, poor people, blah, blah, blah. Kennett has become for the rich and affluent in this whole area. Well, yeah, but when you grow up here and you see all the change, you know, it's ridiculous. I'm not good with change, but luckily I have a place to live in town. Our apartment caught on fire on Cedar Street a year and 9 months ago. And with tax help, we were just, you know, lucky that an apartment or house for rent came up. And they helped us because we lost everything. They're a great, great organization. They help so many people. You know, I know at the time, Victory had their fire explosion a couple weeks before that. I was really upset to see that comments were made on Facebook and other avenues about the residents there did not want any used clothing or household items. Why not? Maybe I didn't want used furniture when we moved in, but I had no choice at the time. We don't want used beds. We don't want somebody else's towels and blankets and everything, clothes, but we accepted them graciously and used them. But I guess Victory people were better. I've never heard anything like that in my life. Oh no, we don't want anything used. We want gift cards and cards for Starbucks and Dunkin' and stuff. How about taking what the heck you're given and be grateful for it?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Pastor Borough. I don't live in Kennett Square, but I certainly do live in Kennett Square. These are some of the members of our church, New Garden Memorial, UAME Church. And we're here because we're concerned. We're here because we want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And hearing what's being said this evening, you gentlemen and you ladies, you have a task. You've heard from these individuals. They've poured their heart out. And it's not fair that things are being changed and they're not part of this change. You're doing the change. And when we have a community, everyone comes together. And it's generally the majority that wins. So I would really think about what you're doing as individuals who are supposed to represent the community, because this is your community. And they're making noise tonight so that you're able to hear that they're not satisfied with what's being done. So listen, and listen well, because these individuals make the election.
Any other public comment? Although that ended on a very important note, and I much appreciate hearing from the entire community tonight, so thank you very much. We'll move on to the reports now, and I will just give my quick report, and then I'll move on to the borough manager. On August 11th, Borough Council did have a strategic planning meeting, and many of the items that were discussed tonight were part of our discussions at that meeting as well, which the public was invited to. And we did have some public show up as well, so that did set some priorities, and I look forward to keeping the community up to date on what we move forward with what we discussed. And as far as my second item, I just want to thank you for everyone who volunteered. Chief, your whole team, the fire and EMS, of course, responders, everybody who made the Mushroom Festival a success this year. It was a crazy day, but I think there was a lot of excitement to have it back up and back. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Mr. Paul.
Sure. Well, first off, it's nice to have a board. So the chairs can do some time on the file. There's a lot here. I'll try to give some helpful feedback. If I miss anything, just ask me after the meeting, and we can go through it. we were late on getting out the water sewer bill, that's through your house. So in your case, catch up after the meeting, Don, and we'll figure out what's going on. It should be better customer service. In terms of, we have had some seasonal employees leave, majority of them have been hired. We're dealing with a lot of things that other organizations are, combination of baby boomers with funding, and the great meeting. We have really lots of the question about codes, we have an expert in the crowd, our code director here, but essentially our codes refer to the ICC code. So it's things like how close to the microphone of water. So it's not on the look of the building, it's the actual internal how you make a safe building. So it's an independent organization that reviews it. But the codes are the same roughly than most of this town. So that's what's being reviewed. But again, if you want to ask more, just catch up after. When a development comes, there is a discussion of air sewage treatment plant handling. So we've got a series of these plans to look out for 4 or 5 years, and they plot out where developments are given this credit, so that we make sure that we don't overuse our system before we can upgrade it to the compliant. So when we develop that research is already been done because we don't include them without that. So we do need within the next few years to look at expansion. We're getting there, but it is controlled in the sense that it's not just hookups that are Sunday roll. It is a managed process. We know what our capacity is and so on. For Anthony Nixon Park, that is an independent organization. We donate last year. We gave $35,000 to them. So it's a separate entity, but we're happy to connect with them. They do a really good job for the amount of resources they have. But we can connect with you, and I'm sure they will help. I'm trying to I guess the last piece, would just be if there are questions like this, you can always come to this borough hall and ask questions. You can call me, call our code director, call the works director in the back. It's literally our job.
Any other report items?
Just saying to you, thank you for collaborating with all of us.
Mr. Gerber, anything from the solicitor's office?
Yeah, just a few points, Mr. President. Everybody, my name is Christopher Gerber. I serve as one of the solicitors for the borough. We've had the privilege of representing the borough for the past 5 years. Mike Crotty usually sits in the seat. I'm filling in tonight. I've heard a number of contentions about things being done in the dark. I can tell you this, my office would never let that happen. And I'm very privileged to work with this council and the prior councils. And I can tell you it's not worth my license to let anything done in the dark. We follow the sunshine law and make sure that we follow the code. So I've taken vigorous notes as well, and I'll be working with the council. Any legal questions that they have with me, I'll certainly be with them. But I just live down the road in West Grove. I'm privileged to be your solicitor. And I can tell you without hesitation that we work very hard with this council to make sure that we're following the law. Now, you may have differences over policy decisions and so forth, and that's certainly fine for debate. But as far as legal compliance, I can assure you without any hesitation that this local government is following the law. So it really rests in terms of policy decisions and hearing from you. And I can tell you that this new council is going to take that very, very seriously tonight. So again, it's a privilege. If I could comment on the manager's response to labor. I'm primarily a labor and civil rights lawyer. I can tell you out there, it is very, yes.
We represent this.
You know, I'm in federal court for the EEOC. That's primarily what I do. I get to sit in the seat and like to take. But I can tell you that the labor shortage today is just beyond belief. When you read it in the newspaper, it's a real problem. We're working very aggressively with the personnel committee and the manager to recruit and select and bring in the needed labor for the borough. So we are on top of it. We're doing the best that we can. And the manager is right. At a number of retirements, there are changes going on in the administration. I find it to be exciting. I mean, you've got a new energetic group here who is trying to be on the cutting edge of these things. And you can decide not to believe that, and that's fine. But from my office, I can tell you that we're going to work with them very closely to make sure they're following.
Thank you, Mr. Gunn. Chief, anything going on this past weekend?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet around town. So I did submit the electronic, the monthly report to you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will tell you there was one glitch with some of the numbers. So I'm gonna have some updated numbers for you on. Very incredible weekend, seeing Mushroom Festival return back up into, to State Street. Really saw a lot of people from within the borough here that truly enjoyed it. A lot of people from outside the area. It still amazes me to this day how big of a draw that event is to bring people into Kennett Square. I talk to people from as far away as Boston and as far away as Georgia. So it's really the entire East Coast, but it attracts. Really want to give a incredible thank you to our Public Works Department. Those guys worked with me tirelessly for the weeks leading up to it, for all the preparations that go into place. Did a fantastic job. So I know you guys are struggling with staffing, and they did a fabulous job. We had a successful, safe event, what we hoped for, what we planned for, and what we executed. So we're happy to see that take place. Reference to some of the comments that that I heard as far as speeding issues and whatnot. Let you know we will certainly be looking at each and every one of them. And I really don't want anybody to feel that you need to wait until a council meeting to express a concern. Please contact the police department at any given time. It doesn't matter. It's a much more expeditious process than waiting for a public meeting, and we can address it. We have been starting to do traffic studies around town to try and get a base, as to where we are with traffic volumes, traffic speed, as it goes with our accident data that we track very rigorously. So we will, be addressing all of these issues from Broad Street to Willow Street to Wayne Avenue to Cypress Street. We'll take a look at them, much more in depth. But please don't feel as though you need to wait to hear. If there's anything that concerns you about traffic, please just contact the police department, and we can try and deal with it much more appropriately. So you're talking about for like the mowing issue that we just started? So typically it's about 7 a.m. So if they were being, what's that? Well, on the weekends it becomes 8 a.m. So there's definitely some reason we can look at that to make sure that it's still consistent with what we need.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to committees, I'll start with the personnel committee, but okay on it, personnel committee, starting to review the personnel manual, the handbook, so there will be updated stuff. Now for evaluation.
Finance committee met twice since our last meeting on 18th August and 1st of September. We looked at mid-year budget, actual versus budget. Overall, we're in good shape in terms of where we expect to be with our spend and our revenue coming in. overall, the biggest issue that we're working on is our capital improvement plan, which we talked about, some people are talking about here, which is very draft at this point. But in all honesty, if you stop and take a look at where the borough is financially, we're not in great shape. Like it or not, I'm the messenger, we're not in great shape as a borough. Our operating budget has no reserves to it, so the money we take in is the money we spend on a yearly basis. Now that changes, don't almost every single dollar, it changes by $2,000 here, which is real money. But overall, our operating budget, which will increase next year because of some special things that happen this year, it's going to be higher next year unless we cut services, unless we cut people, unless we don't do things that we're doing this year, which I don't think anyone wants. I'm not suggesting that. But the reality is our operating budget is going to be higher next year unless we cut something somewhere. And Kyle and Lisa even look very hard at trying to understand where there's any excess in our budget. Not a lot, that's for sure, based on what the priorities are for the borough. We actually had a meeting on the 11th of August, which some of you attended, where the council and department heads actually sat down and came up with we came up with a list of what our key priorities were as a borough. And the top 3 or 4, there were about 10 of them that came on. The top priority that the borough council said, along with staff, was how to invest in our underfunded capital and also to build our financial reserves as a municipality. That was number 1, nearly a third of the votes to that one issue. The second issue, which someone brought up earlier, was housing. And really trying to understand how we can improve the housing situation in the borough, which has been talked about for years. What we're really trying to do is to understand or to stratify, what are the sections of housing? I mean, housing could be, where taxes are great at, and in terms of homelessness, literally people sleeping on their brother or sister's couch or in someone's car, to, my kid just graduated and can't find the place that they'd love to live in. I mean, so it's a huge range. What this group is going to try to do is to narrow that down to understand and stratify exactly who and how many and how we best approach that. It's not a Kennett Square alone issue, I'm sure everyone knows. It's a national issue we're facing. It's the top priority of the county, and it's our second highest priority in the borough as well, to really understand and get our hands around it. But let me stop. Think about it. If finance is our issue, well, the borough is not going to be able to afford to build, affordable housing. We have to get grants, we have to get help from outside the borough because frankly, we don't have the money to do that. And one of the ways to do that, you can disagree, is density. If you allow a developer to put more units in and force some of them to be more affordable, then that's one way to do it. I'm not saying that's the way to do it. ADUs, which someone said they were adamantly against, is another way to get more affordable housing in the borough. None of them.
We didn't say we were against, we're not against it. We're not against it.
One of
We're
them,
not against.
one of them is not the answer to anything. There's lots and lots of issues, and it's like a balloon, right? You grab it here and it pops out over there. So we're trying to understand to get our hands around what's the most impactful way we can spend your money, our money as taxpayers, and how can we best make Kennett a more affordable, a more integrated place. That was another priority we had. How do we make sure it's more integrated than it is right now as a community overall? So back to capital improvement, it's really capital maintenance. I think Kyle did say we are millions of dollars in the hole for deferred maintenance on roads, on sidewalks, on sewers, on garages, on public property like this one. So we've got a big hole that we have to climb out. Not we can't do it, but it is going to take a lot of effort and a little bit of pain here and there to get it done. So sorry to go on.
Any questions? Claire, EMS. The Regional Fire EMS Commission meets on the second Tuesday of the month at Penbury Township Building at 5 o'clock. It is open to the public, so anybody can come to that meeting. Right now, the whole focus, the last 2 meetings have been on the budget. As we've been working through the Regional Fire EMS Commission as a group, which is
6 municipalities fund 3 fire and EMS companies, Kent Fire Company, Longwood Fire and EMS, and Tomorrow Lynn Fire Company. And the municipalities or the regional fire and EMS does not fund 100% of their budget. They fund somewhere between 25 and 30%. So in doing that, in the budget process, it makes it a little bit awkward because we give them a certain amount of money and they get to spend that, but then they have to come up with the rest of it on there. So it's an interesting process. I think council, remember council was asked for a say into the fire and EMS budget for another year that our contribution for next year, and that was agreed upon. So our contribution to the fire and EMS for 2023 will not increase from 2022. At least at the last meeting, that hasn't been passed as a motion yet, but in the conversation that was an agreement. I would also say that in us bringing some light to some of the fire and EMS issues, the other municipalities are now deeper dive or a bigger look into those expenditures and looking into them a little harder. It is a bit of a challenge because that budget which is going up does not include equipment or buildings. It includes occupancy expenses, but not build long-term building maintenance and things like that. So we've encouraged them to present a capital improvement plan and equipment plan for the next 20 years. So that will, that does not move that operating budget at all. So we've asked them to provide a comprehensive plan. So that'll be the next thing. And we've asked them to bring back, we will have it for the meeting. So the next meeting is tomorrow night, and there's only 2 things on the agenda, and most of it is. So we'll say that the council has asked that we continue with a spirit of fundraising and engagement and everything else. And that the meetings have been very cooperative and very the tone and the cooperation has been better now than it has been.
Any questions from the mayor? All right, we're going to move on to the discussion items. We'll kick it off with Kenneth Rotary Club fundraiser, on top.
Yeah.
Will Howard?
Hi, I'm Lee Bowers. I'm the president of the Rotary Club of Minnesota. I'm here with my president-elect, Sue Markey, and my head of communications, Michelle Ferrari. We're here to discuss the Planet on Top application. We're hoping this will be our first annual signature event. We're hoping it will be every year. The Rotary Club of Minnesota, we do a lot within the community. We do a lot of fundraising and a lot of service work. We were actually at the Mushroom Festival, which was very fun. Working that on Saturday and Sunday, and we often give a lot of funding to PACS, Senior Center, we do scholarships at high school, we give to Dan Thomas, we give to the mission, which is now American, and we'll continue doing that as long as we can within the community. And this kind of on top fundraiser, we will raise money to go into our foundation, which will hopefully grow and allow us to continue to give to all those great organizations. And Rotary, if you're unaware, is an international volunteer organization from the 1900s. Our club here has been in 1907, although a lot of probably doesn't know us before you do that. We're small but mighty. And Rotary International as a whole has over 1 million, 1.2, 1.3 million volunteers. We've teamed up with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And so we also recently helped to wrap the polio. And we did a lot of wells in Africa. We did send food worldwide. There's a lot that we do very well.
Any questions?
Briefly, can you explain what the concept is you're trying to do?
Yes, are you familiar with that? Kind of going to, by that, so we're looking to do an operate stop of the parking garage. And it will be dinner, a live band, we're looking to have some, a raffle that we could each and we have your wine, but we also have. And approximately go from 6 to 10, we're not quite sure about the time, and we're looking to see a unity, and so nothing else is really going on there. So, and we were looking to, cap it, cap it at 100, ticket sales. We were at the garage today, not quite sure what the capacity is. And we're looking at using top level, the very top level as registration. And so that would be like the main entry and exit point. And then coming down the ramp from there, we would have the ramp where the flash was. And then there's I want to call it a tarmac. There's like a strip that's flat and has tables there and food there. And then down that ramp would be 45. And the other exit surface is again would be especially keep the speakers pointed in so they're identified.
It really sounds a lot like the flash did last year, and I'm doing.
So the event will be done as pre-sold tickets.
Correct. I don't think we intend to go.
Any other questions for the time? Very much. Any council discussion on the I appreciate the almost 1 year of planning instead of the last minute that we've gotten these from last minute applicants as well. So seeing you from at the next time. Council, any objections to moving this to consent? Thank you. We're going to move on to the Shade Tree Commission now. We have an appeal of the Catholic Church, appeal from the Shade Tree Commission decision. The church is building an addition to the church and school, which includes the landscape plan for the marriage street frontage, and representatives from the church and the Shade Tree. So I think, you have anything to add to this at all?
That's really valid.
When the applicant presented their information prior to that, our commission looked at trees and walls. Also, I think the applicant also has an arborist, professional arborist in the community. As you know, from tree huggers, came and looked at the trees. I looked at trees as well as the other members of the as well as landscape architect. Sent me a number of notes. I felt that the trees were in good condition. They need pruning. There are a lot of dead branches in the trees, but there are a lot of dead branches in all of the trees in the borough. And if you don't maintain branches, those dead branches, it becomes a problem. structure of the front, there didn't seem to be any major structural involvement. And our policy has been to not recommend removal of trees if they are in good condition. So we met with the applicant, we discussed options with them. Some of the issues were having to do with problems with curbing in front of the church, access. Mostly had to do with these streets are highways. We have plenty of those up and down State Street. And everybody knows that they have the long pods. They also have tiny leaves. And some people find that it's hard to maintain. Just as hard to maintain a sycamore, which is about the size of my hand. Those are the problems with trees. They have leaves and they sometimes have fruit or something like that. We didn't have any issues with the roots of the trees. We felt that because the tree happened to not be or it was in the way of their desired placement of an entrance or seating area. We didn't feel that needed, because of the trees were provided more benefit for the church and for the community. They are magnificent trees. They're very tall. They announce the church and make it look like it's something special, in addition to being something special. The other thing is that for us to look at removing a tree simply because it's in the way of a new addition to the church, that means it's on the sidewalk. It's not in the location where the place. But for access to them, we didn't feel that was an issue. And regarding curbing and this trees, we felt that this is something that should be looked at during the process of putting in the new paving that we intend to put in. We recommend something that we use on State Street with structural soil that could be used to provide better cushioning for the existing trees. That would mean that they wouldn't have the same issues that they currently have with any kind of heaving. We have clay soil. We have that wonderful. And that's something we have in this area. And when you compact clay soil, there's no oxygen in it. So there's no way that the roots can grow properly. They grow up, not down. So you have tree roots that are popping up because you've compacted the surface of the ground. So you can't have trees and compacted clay soil. You have to either amend the soil or bridge the soil if you want to have trees. So if we want to have trees in our borough, we have to look at preserving the ones that we have and trying to come up with new solutions for putting in trees. I think that's really all I need to say. Are there any questions?
What do you recommend? What shape do you recommend?
Our recommendation was to keep the trees. We felt that they were important. And if we were to remove these trees for no good reason, then why not remove all the trees on State Street for no good reason? Well, yeah.
So trees have like a jump, like they're large.
They're long.
They're pretty mature. So they have sort of adjusted some of the concrete around it a little bit. So what are you suggesting that when they, you know, that when they take the concrete out, there's oil around it so that it won't come up next year they're putting on?
It's possible to do that. And especially if they're looking at some nice paving, that will, if you were to put in concrete sidewalks, you can amend them with more, you can add gravel. Soil. The special soil mix that we use on West State Street for the existing street with a mixture of gravel and soil. And you could do that. And if you can actually lift that mix compared to the soil somewhat because of the gravel. When you put gravel in, you increase the amount of oxygen that goes to the trees. So when you do those, you say in one place, and then you come with your material. Any questions?
And although we has there been a precedent set for the transplant procedure? Has it been successful with denying the request?
I have only been on the commission for 2 years. During those 2 years, the only time we have taken down a tree is when it's in a high traffic area like State Street, where it's created a major tripping point. And we haven't seen that these trees yet.
How old are they?
I don't know. How, you know what I think?
The estimate is that.
I know that the street trees, on State Street were put in the early 60s.
Thanks for the, they decided they wanted to do some of the.
It becomes stressful, it can. And to be honest, none of us really know what's on the list. We may find, if we find that there's something wrong with those trees, and it's not something that is too easy, we may be able to change our report. Right now, trees look good, and there doesn't seem to be any evidence that the roots, if the roots were failing, we would know in the structure.
That's almost the issue. Trees are so tall. I was there this morning, walking around with. And Rob, I don't know if you're here, you take a look at it as well. But the issue is the trees are so healthy, they're actually pushing up the sidewalk.
Well, let's say that they don't have any oxygen to go down.
Yeah, granted, and they're good, solid, robust trees, and that's the problem, they're actually pushing up the sidewalk, making for a fairly unsafe way to, for sidewalk to walk on. We actually addressed this, Carol, there, the council said, about 2 months ago, Rob had a similar situation on his State Street, it was like 225 State Street, and same thing, good healthy tree, but it pushed up the sidewalk and the heat was probably, I don't know, 3 inches or so around, someone tripped, got hurt, and the homeowner, the property owner said, wait, if I go to the shade tree commission, they say, no, the tree is more valuable, don't do anything, but I can't change the sidewalk, you create the sidewalk, if the tree's there, because I'll kill the tree. So when we met at shade tree, when the shade tree commission met, I was there, Rob was there, I think what we indicated was we wanted to value safety over a tree. And not that we don't want trees, we want trees, but we want the right kind of trees that aren't going to push the sidewalks and still make it a pretty scene or the driver walk down. But I think, Rob, what we said is, listen, if there's a tree that's causing potential safety hazard, we're going to allow the property, now we have to change the ordinance, that was the intent, if I recall.
Right.
The one difference is when you go to State Street, and you look at the right of way, there's no way to have a passable sidewalk without being between on the outside of the right of way and the tree. So that, so that's wheelchair accessible or even just pedestrians. There's a difference there because when you go over to the church, there is the ability to migrate through there within the right of way and still preserve the tree.
It's about
It's-
20 feet for the between the church and street, but not on State Street.
One example I would give you, Mr. Norris, is that if you go to Oak Apple where they just put up a new house, I actually measured off the right of way and got them to wrap the sidewalk around the tree because they did have room to have egress next to the tree without affecting the tree.
But it is also going to affect, and I'm good for everyone's town, but I actually am members in that church, so I want to disclose that. But isn't part of the issue that the trees are going to hamper the ability for the two handicap spots or come up on the sidewalk and so on?
They shouldn't. And what happens in front of the church is that it may be that the trees have pushed up the sidewalk. The amount of work that they want to do in changing out the shade in front of the church is, I think, negligible, that they could accommodate that using materials, either materials that they want to use now or possibly looking at something that interlocking papers or something that is more flexible. If you put in with more brush, with gravel, and you'd have to do that anyway. If you took out some trees, you would have to put in substantial material that you could compact. The beauty of something like the Cornell structural soil is that it is a matrix of soil and gravel.
Right.
That you don't have to compact the same way, but it supports concrete, interlocking pavers, stone, and it provides enough substance for trees to go down instead of going up.
There's certainly strong tendencies. Would we be better off in 20 years if we put the right trees in the right soil?
I think they may be the right trees, because we're looking at the trees on the left side of State Street with the structural soil like that. They were considerably better than the street trees on the east side of State Street that did not have it. And those are the trees that have come down. But we're looking at some success.
So I know that you mentioned the church side. So Carol, thank you for that side, and then, let's hear from you first. Can I just get some quick clarification on exactly the situation? So obviously, the church made a decision to the chief committee, 59, and now they appeal to us as the council, and whether we're going to all the J3 commissions or allow them to move forward.
That's correct. And we had put over pictures and also, and I'm happy to provide more of that with the same of that to the owner would see that. It's a high traffic area. I'm here. We're going to have a position in church to be able to do this project. And quite frankly, as a good steward, I need to do it. We have over 800 people. It's a high traffic area. We're not going to start doing it. We're back to the church. It's very cool. And it's coming in with the third sidewalk situation. I'm just interested in replacing those trees so that in time, 20 years from now, we're not in the same position. And if 20 years from now, the trees end up dying, I will do something for that. And I want to feel record for that. So, Mike and Bill.
I'm Bill Gallagher. Does everyone have a copy of the Gilmore report? The issue is public safety. As the father says, as well, there's people using that, some being local. And I want to show you one quickly. The father's have a point on it, we understand that we're funding. Go ahead, show it, what?
It's the terms. My understanding from our engineers, when we doing the curve, you're going down 20 feet. We're gonna hit roots.
Right, father, is anyone fallen on this sidewalk from the hill?
We have had falls, Easter a year ago, a little bit fell over and there's a handicap thing right there. So we're talking walkers, elderly people walking on the cement. That's me, my primary issue, not trees. It's not, I want to replace the trees because I just don't think it can be done based on the council.
I'd like to talk a little bit, maybe, address some of the points of my colleagues in the Shade Tree Commission, which were addressed in the initial application that we submitted way back in April. So this has been going on for a long time. And maybe just to reflect a little bit on that, on the history of this, we had success with two different projects with the church to enhance the church and enhance the church in the community. The courtyard project we did and a church renovation project. And so we embarked on another project to create an addition. And as part of that project, the idea was, as Father had been concerned about the life and safety of our parishioners because of the uneven concrete structure, not only in front of the church, but in front of the school, going all the way across the direct. And so he wanted to address that because he was concerned about the slips, trips, and falls issue that we had. And so as part of doing the new project, we decided that it was an opportune time to essentially create a new hardscape landscape for that entire front, from the Cypress Street all the way to the rectory, and replace all that concrete and curbing that is uneven, that is eroding, that has all kinds of slip, trips, and falls aspects to it that we've seen in the field letter that are in excess of the ADA requirements, that says anything in excess of 1 foot elevation, 1 foot elevation between two pieces of concrete is not in compliance with ADA. We wanted to take care of that whole situation as we did our project. So that's why we went through the design of the project. We were advised that we needed to talk with the Shade Tree Commission about the potential of alleviating that problem in the aspect of replacing those 3 trees with trees that would be more conducive to being in that curved area between the sidewalk and the curb that will not create a problem in the future. So you've seen the picture, you've seen all of the different changes in elevation and tripping hazards that we have. My contention is, with all due respect, that when we start to pull those concrete slabs up, we're going to find that the tree roots have raised themselves up to the entire outside of the canopy of the tree, which goes in those tree spaces 30 feet from the base of the tree into our sidewalk. We're going to find that those roots have protruded to the point that they've gone through the stump base of stone, and they are actually pushing on the underside of the concrete slabs. So as we pull those concrete slabs up, what we're going to be left with is a series of roots that are above the surface of which we need to replace when we put the concrete back in place. per your standard municipal code, chapter 17, I can quote it for you. 4-inch subbase of snow on compacted soil and a 4-inch concrete on top of it. Curbs 20 inches deep, 9 inches deep, 9 inches wide, and 6 inches at the top, extending 7 inches above the road surface. If you go and look at it and inspect what we have there, there is going to be no way that we can drop the elevation of the existing roofs to get 8 inches below the current surface, so that we can put the subbase back and meet your requirements for installation of the new sidewalk. Let alone, if you look at the curves, which are eventually eroding away, you take a look and drive by and see, there are knobs of tree roots that are protruding into those roads, and there will be no way to put a curb in that will meet your standards. Absolutely no way, without having to cut away roots or shade roots. And if you look at the arborist reports, I've been through this whole thing, and you look at them, if you shade away the roots or let alone cut roots within anywhere from 2.5 feet of the diameter base of the tree, you are destined to wet tree in a period of years. And not only will you kill it, but if you take that exercise, you may unstable that tree, and even before it dies, if there's a storm, it may actually tip over because the roots are unstable. So our contention is that the best long-term solution is to replace those trees with trees that are more conducive to be put in a 4-foot curved area, a buffer between the curb and the sidewalk, that have a vertical growth. We can install the right root barrier systems that will induce the roots to grow down in vertical and not protrude through the base of the concrete, and eventually cause the same problem that we had. So our solution is one that we think will provide a more safe situation down the road. It will provide the tree cover with high caliber 5-6 inch trees that will be conducive with what you guys are planning as your new tree program throughout the borough anyhow. And it will give us the ability to have a win-win situation. And so that's what we're trying to propose. We don't want anybody to get hurt. Obviously, that is our main concern. We know that even if we could replace the concrete some way and keep the elevation safe throughout that whole area, those trees will continue to grow, those roots will continue to grow, and in 5 years, we will be replacing that concrete because those tree roots have pushed the new concrete up. It's just a matter of fact and engineering. So our proposal is to create a situation where we can help everybody at the same time and come up with a solution that will work. So that's really kind of where the basis of where we're coming from is. We don't want liability. We certainly don't want further liability. And we certainly don't have to wait to see anybody else get hurt through a situation that right now is untenable. So, thank you for that. Like, what's your education that professional background? So I didn't mention that earlier, but I kind of stayed with the architectural engineering program with a construction management degree. I've been in the business of building and construction for 45 years. In many situations, and so I do have a basis of thinking that there is some logic in what I'm telling you and some basis for foundation of, what I think is going to be the situation if you don't do something along the lines.
And Mike, just for the benefit of council and the record, your last name.
I'm sorry, Mike. No,
Thank you. The name is
Robert Davis. All right, that's a lot of good information. Council discussion. Questions?
I know that, the public safety didn't have the whole sidewalk tree dilemma that happened throughout. So,
What are the trees that have been selected? Or also roots on the surface? So could we have that same kind of flow that we're saying?
Good point. We have initially through our state engineering contractor, which is Gilmore Associates, have produced two options. And I one of our parenting was red, meadow, kind of, but they're tools that are designed to grow more and vertical without a large canopy. So the root system is more tight than it would be on the road. And the idea is the mission. The thing is, second, I find it.
Armstrong.
Yes. And we've had some experience with those that would allow us kind of one. And the other thing that arborists will tell you, or tricks will tell you, is if you're planting a new, as opposed to trying to build a mature tree, as our colleague from the Treasury Commission mentioned, you can do certain things when you plant those trees to inhibit the potential for the same problem. You can put a root barrier system on the inside of the curbing that will allow the roots to be trained to grow more vertical than horizontal. You can use the engineered product from Vincent that she's talking about, which will also help the situation. I think those are all best practices that we would want to do with a new installation. I think the problem is trying to do that with a mature tree where the roots have already grown and exceeded the elevation, especially close to the root, to the base of the tree. There's virtually no way to train that root to be depressed down more below the surface and not grow back up again. In my estimation, maybe 20 feet down, but right at the base of the tree, those roots are going to be 8-9 inches in diameter for that kind of a tree. And how do you in 2 feet train that root to be depressed to a point that it's below the surface of the stone base and the concrete and not want to press itself back up again? I just don't know. I don't know how you.
I think it's important to reiterate that we're going to use place, not just a complete town. It'll be a much prettier attraction to the neighborhood, the way that the plan goes, if you look at the plan. And the other, I think generally time things actually encourage folks in the neighborhood to walk through, do the environment for years ago, and encourage folks to walk through and walk their dogs there. I think it'll be a better situation than it is right now. And they haven't brought it up, but the other fact is that the timeline for the review of the plan is actually expired. So they have every right to go ahead and build exactly as they submitted it because we did not meet our timelines. But they're genuinely trying to be a good neighbor and work for a good, I think it's better.
Yeah, I have one more thing that I want to comment.
You can.
I think that if you were to propose to put in one of those two trees, the maple might be better. However, if you're only looking at a 4-foot area between the curb and sidewalk, you're looking at an area that will only support a root system for a small tree, like a fringe tree. Not even a dogwood. A dogwood is bigger than that. So you're looking at something that is probably 10 to 12 feet high, round, and would obstruct traffic along that edge, pedestrian traffic, because it's too small of a tree. Because you need a root system that will support a large tree. You're talking about medium-sized trees with raspberry pear, which is also an invasive tree. It's wood-wooded, it's not a strong tree, but your maple is a better choice. But it's a tall tree, and you need at least a 20 by 20 root space for that tree to grow and which could become a mature tree, and have enough space for that. So if you're able to do that in that area and put that kind of a support system, that would be helpful. I'm not opposed to that. The problem is, and this is something that I didn't know about, a roof barrier system that we have. We have a box right now that is a 2 foot by 3 foot box that is put into the ground as a barrier for a roof system. What happens is the tree grows into this and grows over it. It doesn't make the roots go down, it makes it go up. And it looks silly, and it becomes a conduit, and the tree fails. You can look at a number of the trees that are around the borough that were planted in the past 10 years or so, using that roof barrier system, and they have suffered and look poor. So don't do that. Give the roots a chance to go and provide good soil to make. We'll have a good tree.
Well, working with the Shakers Bank, come up with a solution that we both think will be satisfactory. We just don't think what we have now is going to last. That's our.
It's hard to, if you don't take down really pretty trees. The thing I want to mention is that this year, the only litigation that we've seen or notice of litigation, 3 notices of litigation for trip hazards on sidewalks. That's all that 3 litigation notices since January this year, and every one of them is naming the borough as an additional liability. And so what happens when somebody does trip and fall, and then the parish says, we want that, and as the liability solely with the borough who denied them the opportunity to fix that trip hazard. And so that's my biggest concern is that we have 3 right now sitting in front of us that are trip hazard issues. So people fell in almost found both wrists and on the sidewalk. And the question is, where is the borough's liability extend, especially if you deny the request on there? I hate seeing those 3 borough. I don't know how you get to the right replacement process, but you can't have trip hazards in a highly trafficked area that they're asking for. They're saying we want to fix the safety. I don't know how you navigate that.
It would be one thing if it was just about the tree. It would be a different discussion if the trees were dead. It would be a different discussion if they wanted to cut the trees down and not replace them. So I think that looking at the big picture of where we are, that this could be an instance where we do overturn the decision. On that note, overturning the decisions of the boards and commissions that we very much value their opinion, our planning commission, shade tree commission is one of my least favorite things to do on this side of the table. We talk about when we're really looking at everything that could come out of this, from the triple fall, potential hazard, local to just the timeline of the project as well. I think that
The primary thing from my aspect, is the condition of the curbing and sidewalk trees. If either way, it will be replaced whether the trees stay or not. But if we can maintain the condition of that sidewalk curbing, it does get replaced longer by replacing these trees. And again, from everything I'm hearing, there's no way to replace up the code this curbing and sidewalk without damage now. So that's kind of.
some of the materials that are collected for the.
So it's a big combination, Tim. We, and the design that we decided as part of the package may not clearly show that, but essentially we are suggesting that we remove the concrete paving and curbing from the school side sectors, minus the band that you all just installed as part of your sidewalk renovation project. We'll leave that in place with the ADA compliant thing there, and then inside that we will take that
Next expansion joint, we would take all of the concrete paving out all the way to the end of the property of the church, which is the budding direct. All the way from the curb to the base of the church and the base of the school. And we will replace that with a combination of concrete paving, through a lot of that, with raised bed gardens placed in between. And you'll see that on the drawings, a couple raised bed gardens that would be, stone raised bed gardens with flag, bluestone tops, with plantings in between those. And then in front of the church proper, we would come with concrete curbing, concrete sidewalk, and then from the concrete sidewalk for a walk path to the church, it would be all a flagstone and stone, design pattern to create an entrance to the church. So it's kind of a combination of both.
We want to ask other because you're the my thought process is trees down plant. If these weeds start to grow out, but it has a better chance of living if they were to work naturally throughout the next couple of feet. It's going to be full concrete slabs. Will be in the same situation.
Fair. And believe me, we are more than open to working with the Borough, the Shade Commission on the selection of materials, not only for the replacement trees, but for that whole hardscaping and landscaping situation. We would welcome the input and the experience you've had throughout the borough as we design it. We're not tasked with the design that we have to plan. It's our concept of what we think will work based on our recommendations from our beginning from Gilmar and Associates. So we're more than willing to have another dialogue about what really makes best things different for the longevity of the installment and the new installation.
And the second one. All right, there being none, I prefer to have a specific note on this item, so a specific motion for or against the.
Mrs. Lucier, or should I not?
I don't see it.
Okay.
It would be helpful. I know there's a coach, right? Clear up.
Okay. I didn't know if that was following that.
Which coincides, they've had those sense not many of these approved part stuff. Essentially, here. So they think that for their land development. It should be approved land development, not really. But they have the extension of it.
And to clarify, just to add on that, the reason we have not submitted a new land development plan in accordance with the comments that we had is because we're waiting to have the spending on the shape. Because that's part of the drawing, so we do want to resubmit that. So we're ready to resubmit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we could definitely.
Thank you. Thank you all. We'll move to code and zoning. And the first one is St. Patrick's Church extension. That's what I said, the next.
Due to the fact that we're in chats with a couple of discrepancies on the letter. Because there's something that we're going to be able to do.
Any discussion from council on this? And then the authorization for advertising for stormwater management.
So we wanted to go over just a quick overview of what the borough actually has in motion to actually advertise on for the update for that. Act 167. So basically what this model ordinance update, the ordinance, that was adopted in the 2014, 2015. So basically what happened is that PA and GG, they had asked for, they had created a new model ordinance that was put out to all counties within Pennsylvania to update it, to be more consistent with their new score requirements for all their municipalities. So basically, they were saying that as part of the score that was adopted and given to the borough back in 2020, that all municipalities within PA need to adopt a new stormwater ordinance to be consistent with their current model by September 2022. So, Chester County is lucky because they have the Chester County Commission, who adopted created the Chester County Commission, Chester County Conservation District, and CCWRA have been working together to create a model ordinance that can be just taken by all the municipalities in Chester County and updated accordingly to meet their own requirements and standards. And that's what we're going forward with, which is kind of going over the major updates from 15 ordinance to some of these updates are the asphalt plan requirements that will go on, and then inspection and EMP operation and maintenance requirements, and the major points, and then some minor things that we need. So, as a overview, currently the stormwater management is required for any project that has a legal purpose of over 5,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet. Some for 5,000. Anything over that takes it into either a simplified code, which is over later, or a stormwater that needs to be submitted. Otherwise, if it's less than that, it still gets counted as a specifically for impervious, so it's counted as a regulated added impervious and will be documented so that at any point in time following added impervious, so say for instance, you have a cabin for the 200 square feet, but then you have driveway extension, and that's another 300 square feet. The driveway extension is then also into solar farm. So it's part of the process. Going through part of why it changed. And I think it changed from proposing impervious to regulating impervious to try to have a little bit more of a stipulation to kind of have accountability later on down the line, so that people, someone is coming back in the year, adding small amounts of food. And that can be over 500 square feet, but less than 1,000 square feet for either or impervious, regulated impervious. You can go after this. It's consistent with the current ordinance requirements in the village. The simplified approach allows for property owners to simplify. So what happens is that the current stormwater simplified approach allows for a much wider range of implications, such as rain barrels, fire retention facilities, rain gardens, systems, or infiltration facilities. The new simplified approach only allows for infiltration facilities that are taking roof runoff and putting it disconnected to the downspout. Which is great. This will eliminate a lot of weeding requirements. With rain gardens and everything, if you want to do upkeep, so if you have a proper name, a resident, not to do, keep your gutters, and everything like that. Versus, making sure. So, that is the basis for the current ordinance. They can read what they want, but it's not considered simplified. So you can have between 500 square feet and 1,000 square feet, more infiltration facility that keeps you from. A large development will, this is more residential or smaller development. In addition, but garages, things like that.
I have one question for you, lady. What about the nitrogen runoff and stuff that's gonna be in the water on the rooftop gardens? That's
Sorry,
gonna go in.
I'll
What's this?
apply for some questions.
I just asked about nitrogen runoff if our rooftop gardens. Where's when you put fertilizer on a plant and it runs off, goes into the gutter, goes to the sewer plant, or are they catching this water? That's my question.
I'm not aware of any gardens that are like rooftop gardens, there might be.
Like your restaurants that grow herbs and stuff.
So, for those, I'm not actually 100% on that. When it comes to what we're talking about for this particular instance, it would be that if there was, for instance, a garden or anything like that on a roof, it would drain into the downspout and then it would go straight into the infiltration bed for this specific instance of adding in more stormwater, like adding in a garage or anything like that. So it would drain off, drain into the downspout, and then there'd be an infiltration facility, not too close to the foundation of the house, but far enough away that it will go through the stone media that's in there, and it should filter through that and then recharge the groundwater table. I think that's how it's supposed to. So it wouldn't filter out any nitrates or,
And
yeah, so, yeah.
Sure. And any minor metals.
We're not doing question and answer right now. I appreciate your concern.
I couldn't hear what you said. I want for clarification.
So moving on with the definitions, these are just a few, I think our council has our definition. So these are just a few of the new definitions and new terms that DEP has requested to add into all the stormwater ordinance and the state. I'll just briefly go through them. If anyone has any questions, just let me know. So this is conservative design, green infrastructure, and low impact development. All of those are all very similar. It's trying to promote less actual structural components of structural PMPs, and rather doing more things like not really setting for the borough, but in more rural counties in municipalities, if you have a new development coming through, instead of putting in stormwater inlets and piping, maybe have it go through swale on the side, or things like that. Those aren't really conducive to the borough, but they have requested that. So we have that then. Evaporative transpiration, PET is now added as a definition because of the potential PET ordinance. And then regulated impervious surface, which we went over, and then stormwater control measure, which is just another way of saying asphalt. So one of the major definitions that changed is definition for impervious surface. The decks, pools, all of those things are still considered impervious surfaces. The thing that has been added is, underlying section at the bottom is that if you have a ground mounted or freestanding solar panel, they now are not, this was a back and forth for a while with PAVP and county. It is not, it is considered pervious as long as there is a natural cover on the solar panel. Again, not always relevant to the borough, but it is a requirement that needs to be added in order to change that for to satisfy.
But one that's very relevant, a parking lot, but now it's used impervious.
I think that all the residential impervious. Now they're letting travel, not
But parking.
impervious still, yeah, still impervious.
But you are not impervious.
You still can impervious pavement, but it is at the discretion of the borough council and make sure it's designed properly to be.
Pervious is better, per the law.
I think my idea or my thought is that the county has trying to, so it's turf.
And the football field drains.
Yeah, so that would be synthetic turf because it's considered a, although it's an engineered surface, that is still considered a surface that allow permeability.
It's probably right now, the right point, this is all hashed out from last year.
Actually, yeah, it's hashed out.
It could be
Well, yeah, this is all part of the PAVP model ordinance. And then, PAVP model ordinance that was brought out before 2022. And then the county had done, work with CPWRA to create a county-wide model ordinance to reflect the PAVP changes. And that was done starting in February of 2023. So the model ordinance was created, I believe late spring, and that they released it to all municipalities for comments. And then we've been going back and forth with the PAVP with, any comments that they've had. And they have had some comments, working with them, and just recently got for the county model.
The spring of this year, the same is.
I believe I have to double check on that, but
I mean, it's very honest. I mean, even though it's a simple, 500 to 1,000 feet is expensive profit.
No,
It's $1,000.
no, yes.
For somebody who wants to put a 23 by 23 patio, right, just a 23 by 23 patio, you have to now get a groundwater management plan. And I know that's not big.
it's not, oh. You currently have to get that ground.
Yeah.
And you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very onerous, and listen, it's the Harrisburg, not us.
So things that the borough, should consider and should have discussions about, one of which is the asphalt requirements. This would be a recommendation from us to change a portion of the county model ordinance the way it's written. Currently, the new model ordinance says in 50 terms that it no longer will require adequate plans for any project less than the disturbance, which based on what we discussed, and would be anything that is above a simplified approach, but still doesn't require. What's your kind of? So anything in that revenue wouldn't be required to see, they would be required to see stormwater plans, but they wouldn't be required to see actual plans to show the. So our recommendation is option 2, which is to elect to delete the following phrase for regulated activities involving one acre or only one of disturbance and require actual plans to be submitted for all regulated activities of the forest. That way we know what was built and put in the ground or above the ground, and that way later on we go into open operation. You know what operation will require. Then they start. So in O&M, municipalities can choose between one of the following options, 1 or 2. One would elect that the borough would conduct all of the stormwater inspections of all of the cities in the borough and include funds that are now going to be some kind of money for the inspections. BMP activities running small property. And then some of the kind of things and the borough will be responsible for however you place the responsibility on the. So the landowners would be responsible for conducting most of our inspections and then submitting it to the on your property and then inspection leave the burden no less than 5 in something actually doing, so they will only be responsible for 5.
Do you have any clue how many septic systems are in the borough?
I don't think there's any.
The end.
Which 4?
Well, you've been talking about for tracking, there is a lot of things that every municipality has to say, this year, next year, the next, you have to turn and talk about. If you don't, then we're looking for you, okay, well. Either that or people can get them around. And be responsible for everything. The next one is potentially a new promotion for patents. It would require the players to probably please the property environment, not only the person and subject to enforcement. This is a requirement for maintaining fee for municipalities that have a specific nutrient impact to their streams. The borough does not have that nutrient. However, they and then very top about the simplified approach, which is that the state saying basically the same on current borough
kind of said the only difference would be that it allows for administration facilities. That's the major.
One of my questions is, we have to be adopted, we have to be adopted by the municipality by September 15th. We're voting on the authorizing advertisement, which I'm assuming will be in October, which is after September 30th.
But it's my understanding that based off of the to actually approve the county ordinance, they have been.
That's usually probably what.
Yeah.
So I will definitely.
Like I said, there's some wiggle room. I know that Benoni and us want to get it done and adopted, but
Because I know we have to advertise this and if we have a community. We'll get confirmation of that tomorrow. And then the ordinance that we will vote on, will that have the two recommended options incorporated?
The one that was included, with all the on it, that was how all of our. Again, we provided the copy of that, the highlights were just to show anything that I didn't discuss here. And those are all the green highlights are. So all the definitions that I can just breeze through, they're very detailed. I love the definition of that. The definition of that is
if you don't know, you must maintain the form of law. Always works, whether it's maybe form or something. So you're sadly, you can maintain very hard.
public property.
It's putting in the code an up to $1,000 fine.
If you don't clean up, you care.
Where the-
You need to clean up.
I don't think that's.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think it goes for a couple of months.
So then we want to list it, and then we want to that's determined. Yeah, I think we should. I'm struggling with the text.
Well, that's Pennsylvania. Out of our- you have to-
It's the adoption, right? We can or we don't have. I guess. I was reading the picture of the chief and staff. I was running around with their books, getting tickets for people. Who want to. Yeah, I just- it seems like such a. How many people do?
It's like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really that you have to do.
Having a bunch of them. See, you want to-
This is for the advertisement. and-
This is for advertising.
You're not waiting on. So you can be honest. Thank you. All right, Civil Service Commission. You can take this one?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you some background. It may need to actually go to Wednesday though. Do you have a copy of the resolution? Okay. The markup. So I think you have the markup, which is the changes that were proposed, but I don't think you have a copy of the actual resolution. Okay, so I think we'll have to, I'll give you some background as to what took place, but I think it's going to need to go to Wednesday when you have the resolution as well. That's the complete document of changes. So this just goes to trying to sort of clean up and also make the civil service process a little bit better. There was some suggested changes brought up to the Civil Service Commission back in July. And I'll give you an idea of what some of these changes were, where applications can be brought in as we're doing these hiring events and testing process. Another section 4.6, for example, is a change where our current rules and regulations state that you have to have a valid motor vehicle operator license issued by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The change to that was that you just need to have a valid vehicle operator license. Really trying to expand upon our full candidacy, saying we're so close to Delaware, we're so close to Maryland. As long as our candidates meet the other requirements, which is like a MOPEC certification, MOPEC does not require you to have a Pennsylvania driver's license. So it's some changes like that we propose to the commission to think about, discuss, and vote upon to try and extend our, and cleaning up some other wording that pertain to having to have a driver's license issued by the Commonwealth, where applications can be received and stated previously, the Office of the Commission. The commission really doesn't have a form per se. So we asked to include the police department since that's where most of the applications come in from, will come in too. We asked to expand upon the amount of candidates that are able to move on from the initial physical agility and written testing process to the oral exam. Typically, currently the rule and reg stated that only the top 10. We asked that to be expanded upon to the top 25. Again, just trying to deepen our pool of candidates. So those are really the highlights of the changes. Again, just kind of clean up some wording. Section 5.8 again removes the issue for the Pennsylvania driver's license. Some of it was just repetitive as it kind of went through the civil service. But I would rather you guys be able to have the full resolution since that's what's going to be voted upon. I will say civil service met in July, reviewed all these, had some good discussion with them, approved all those changes.
You dropped a lot of polygraph requirements.
So I'll be honest with you, I didn't like the fact that our current rules and regs offered 3 different times to fail a polygraph, which to me in this day and age, I just don't agree.
And then lastly, you reduced the number of folks that are needed for arbitration.
Sure, that was, let me pull that up. That was section 7.3. And that was just saying that the minimum amount of people needed for it doesn't mean that we can't have more. Sometimes, unfortunately, it falls into scheduling issues as we have to have court reporter, the officer of representation. It was, again, just to try and make it a process simpler. Not saying we're going to exclude anybody, but just make sure the minimum amount of people necessary is the officer. Thank you.
Minimum municipal obligation for the inspection.
So, this is actually for both plans, and we can talk about it together, like how we would do it. So basically, this is the calculation by our actors for both of our pensions. The basically determines, based on economic factors, and what our, payroll going to be for each different salary year, to then multiply these factors that are actually high, and then comes up with a number of what we then. And doing this process, the way that it's laid out here is It doesn't cost us.
Who's pension 21.1% of salary?
Where do you see that?
Normal cost of the sheet. 13.6.
Are you looking at the food?
I'm looking at the. Normal cover.
Yeah. Mhm. And that's one of the factors that are out there, depending, largely based on economic factors as well as, the projection of promotions or hiring, retirement.
Any other questions for either of the pension? plans? Not only those for the consent, there's potential sale of Lozinski.
Sure, this game was, in the last month, and the cost of my contract with my branch was.
We have a motion.
Very limited, understanding. Right, but not one of the ones that did. Not the last one that did, but going back.
It would not be a public site, but it's a large.
It looks large, like the site holding.
In the face of Memphis, they're very, very large goes in. It comes up at the secondary market. We're not going after the main policy. Secondary.
So it's.
My understanding is they've set out quite a few times. For the price, but also. They said no to my understanding.
This would continue the current agreement. And what year are we in now?
How many?
And it's, I think a 5-year, maybe a 2-year extension.
Yes.
We're in year 2.
So it's gonna be a 5-year.
Which one?
Any other council discussion or questions? My thought would be if we said no, we have to. Prevention possibility. Which I don't think. I mean, not having an existing contract right here. Language in the existing contract, whether they're terrible, certainly.
So is there a doubt if they're bought out and that's only our service paying?
Any objection to consent, or should we want to have a little bit more discussion about this? Looking at that.
You know where they take. Plain sort of is up and get off.
I think it has to actually go down. Works.
We can always take it out and change our mind. I think. All right. Next one, approval of Terry. Over to you.
Sure. It's either April or March. Very certain. Her plan and full control.
Mr. Solicitor, I saw that you provided us with the actual motion. Should we add this language on moving to consent?
I would have the motion, ready.
Okay.
Then here, because you do have the final authority.
We'll just take a specific motion. Attorney Hank? Oh, there you are.
You're doing stormwater.
Thanks for all you've done. Approval of bills. Sure.
The plan to be reviewed, majority of these bills, not all of them. I certainly did, when you received it, and had a question that I asked these earlier today, which was, gosh, why are we paying school tax $54,000? It's I'm doing a little complicated. It's because there's a portion of this building that is not nonprofit. It's considered leasable space by us. So we do have to pay our fair share. But other than that, little towards the side in there, I think the bills are fine. We should.
So on that note, if one of the police.
If that's the way our lease is structured.
Yeah, well, you just mentioned that it's not a for-profit versus nonprofit issue, it's a taxability, so we have to be either the government or the school in order to pay school tax. However, since we have identified that this building is essentially 60/40 used by the government and leasable, the leasable portion, we have to pay tax on that. We can work on anything else. Cover that cost. If we were to lease it out and get, we would cover that. But we are still responsible for paying that tax.
So if the potential that this leases.
We would have to go back to the county. Ask for an appeal. So I had to request an appeal just to get it around and get 100% taxable. So that rather, down to 59% taxable. If, like you said, the school district were to take over the rest of our leasing space, then I would go back to the county and ask for it to be involved.
So consent and objection. And then the last thing is the approval of the council meeting minutes from August 1st and 3rd and July 11th and 15th. And Rachel, thank you for the
All right, so more.
for the one we're talking about right now. Thank you so much. Any questions on the company?
I have one. Chief, on the July 11th, there's a just comment you're following up on noise, the park goes from 701 Wayne and other spots. Any, I know it's not an easy one, any progress?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, no. We discussed this at the last public safety meeting. No, I have not unfortunately made any significant progress. Primarily because we can't find anything to try and piggyback off of a cop. So we're going to have to craft our own ordinance to try and specifically address it. And I did bring up some points of concern as we try and deal with this as far as the enforcement and the level of enforcement, how that then potentially affects the community. Which I think we're going to try and take a sort of an educational approach first before we reach any enforcement level. And try and reach out. We had some good conversation with our some of our Latino population, how we can get that message out to try and let everybody be aware of the impact on the residents. So it is a sort of a work in progress. I wish we could have gotten a quicker resolution, but unfortunately, everything else going on, we're also experiencing some staffing issues, and special events are kind of training us as well. So it is still a priority though.
If you hear the paintball on one of those that are bothered by it, they have the car.
Specifically on Union Street.
Having a one morning.
Truck.
It certainly is a problem.
We'll move the approval of the calendar. All right, end of discussion items. Any final last council comments?
I have one, I'm not sure who necessarily is directed to, but one of the public comments mentioned a question regarding the zoning hearing rule. And only hearing with only 2 members, while I'm going to 30 potentially available, I would be also finding out the details of that, whether that's allowed.
Also along those lines is I think we've asked, do they come in and do the code department?
When that's given this one for Tom.
We've asked the code department. All of those hearing requests, because while we can't legislate that, we can offer a position, support, deny, no comment.
Yeah, they do. They go to planning commission just for their opinion. They can support, they can oppose, or they can take their position. With statements that help the board with the same thing, which can be reported. As for the 2 or the 3, right? Again, full problem that we have one gentleman that's an alternate, you need every correspondence involved. He's not on board for that particular year. So we'd have to talk to that solicitor. Yeah.
Quickly announcement Wednesday night. Friday, we did that. Essentially on a workshop session. That's the reason for the here. 2 really important items. One, 2023 capital improvement plan. So looking for next year, but also 5 years out. Where are we prioritizing investments? What goes first? Do we have the funds to do it? And then secondly, we got a proposal to buy this building for the development here. We're bringing it to the public to get input. So, you know, this tracks a lot of discussion. So, I hope.
Mr. Mayor. Meeting adjourned.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe they have said this. Now I said today, when the citizens, the